I guess the first thing when you watch a film like this is the preparation for you as a director. What did you put into it to kind of make sure that you would kind of portray this crazy world of morning television?
Well, we went to loads of the TV stations. We went to all of them in the city. They were all very welcoming, very, very keen to help, and I think they were keen to help us get it right, and learnt a lot about the stresses and strains and the difficulties, the complexity of that world, and physically the environments that they have to work in. I mean, some of the premises of some really big shows here are very, very cramped, small. They're underground, and the corridors really are piled high with last year's Christmas props and stacks of things that no one has found another place for. Little offices tucked away under staircases. So we try to mirror that. We try to make that world feel as accurate as possible. We ended up shooting in a real ancient TV studios called Metropolis, which is up in Spanish Harlem. So we had a real control room, and I had real people in the control room who, when they push the buttons, they're really doing something. I wanted to put Rachel in an environment where she could do anything and it would really work. Because so often in films about television, you don't really trust that any of the people in there know what they're doing. They're just kind of looking good and pressing the odd button. And we also had this marvellous guy, Don King, who was the producer on Saturday Night Live, who became our television producer.
He was very good in that. I noticed that. He was very, I was like, oh, I believe
he's got
what
great
he's doing. Yes, exactly.
And he directed morning TV for years. And so he helped me a lot. He advised me all the time, but he also, when he points his finger and calls the shots, he's actually calling the shots. To
work with a cast like Rachel and Harrison and stuff, because a film like this kind of can be a very broad kind of comedy, and yet how did you make sure that you were also telling a story without making it into this total farce?
Well, I suppose that's a good question. I suppose I've never really been interested in very broad comedy, and what interested me in this material was that it was rooted in a real world, that the jokes come out of the world and come out of the debate within the film, really, which is about hard news versus fluff, and it's always just encourage your actors to play the truthful bit of the scene and let the comedy look after itself. Then
to have Rachel kind of be the focal point, was it easy to find an actress like her to kind of make sure?
No,
was it a difficult?
Well, I mean, we're just so lucky to get her, because she's so great in the film, and she's so comedic, and yet she's so truthful and heartbreaking. She can do everything, that woman. She's amazing. Did
it take as much kind of coaxing to get Harrison Ford on board like she does in the film then?
No, Harrison was keen as mustard to jump on this film. I think he sees it as rightly as a great role for him, and a great kind of departure from his previous work, and the beginning of a kind of new movement or a new period in his career.
Last question. Being in New York, the scenes that you shot on the streets of New York, where it's completely empty, and it's like, how did you manage that? Because
you get up early.
Really, is that all it takes?
You get up really early on a Saturday night. You get up at like 2 o'clock, and you shoot it on Sunday morning. You have the city's approval, but you close down some streets, and it just makes for a very sort of bleary end of a shooting day.